Invincible season 4 just dropped, and Mark Grayson is not the same person we left, and honestly, good, because right away we see that Mark is being way more ruthless than ever. He's not holding back anymore. He's just taking out villains in a single punch or damn near killing them on the spot, and it doesn't let up through the entire first half of this season. Like, he's fully accepted that sometimes he has to do what he swore he would never do, so innocent people don't have to die anymore. And this really makes Mark start to look. But in that realization that he's becoming too ruthless, he decides to ditch the blue and black suit, and going forward he's trying to leave the ruthless persona behind with it. And I've been waiting so long to see Mark back in this yellow suit because it looks so good. And then we run into this dude named Dinosaurs, who shows up saying he's there to save the world, except his version of saving the world is basically genocide, and I cannot get behind this dude at all. Like, he looks really sick, but what he's saying is actually crazy. And it gets even weirder because he's got like some Hulk situation going on where the dinosaur and human versions of himself are like two completely different personalities, and I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of him either, so I'm fully expecting to see him return. Then we are instantly hit with the Sequids returning, and Rudy really pissed me off in this episode. Like, he had absolutely no reason to be stepping out of his armor and risking the entire human race just because he couldn't help but follow an order. And even though he was right with there being people down there, it doesn't change how ridiculous that risk was. But the invasion comes down to the last possible second, where Mark has to make a split-second decision to risk it all or take out the final Sequid guy himself, because there wasn't enough time for anyone else to get there and help him detach the Sequid. So Mark makes the ultimate choice to eliminate the infested but still innocent human to protect the greater good. And of course, right after the Sequids are dealt with, here comes another threat, and her name is Universa, but think of her more as a Gamora and Thor mixed into one. And I'm gonna be honest, she doesn't do like anything but get knocked out by Eve. But one of the more important parts about this segment is this is when we found out Eve's powers are starting to malfunction or like go on the fritz. They're not working like they should, and throughout all 4 episodes they just keep getting worse, eventually to the point where they don't work at all. And then we find out why, and it turns out Eve is actually pregnant, and she voices how she's not ready to be a mother, and I get that, and look at all the stuff that's already happening around her and Mark and the whole situation. But one thing I didn't like is that she doesn't tell Mark. Well, not yet anyway, and at least we've got 4 episodes left, so there's still time for her to tell him, but right now I'm on the edge about the whole situation. Then we run into Damien Darkblood, you know, the demon guy from season 1 who actually sniffed out Nolan as being the one who killed the original Guardians, except this time we pick up with him in literal hell. And this episode was actually one of the funniest things I've seen in the whole show, and I was not expecting to crack up this much in a season that just seems so heavy. Like, it turns out the literal devil isn't the worst of the worst in hell in the Invincible universe, and I love that they try to make us understand he isn't evil, but I myself, like Mark, would be pretty dumbfounded if I got dragged to hell and someone told me Satan wasn't actually the bad guy. Like, what do you mean he's not evil? Oh, and I have so much respect for Mark for not kneeling in that moment for Satan.
I'm not bowing to Satan.
And that was just a class act. It makes me respect Mark even more. Then we cut to Cecil, and remember how Cecil kept Conquest alive last season? Well, what do you know? He escapes. Like, are we serious right now? After everything Mark and Eve and everybody else went through to stop this guy, Cecil just decided to keep him alive to, what, ask him some questions? And it never stops surprising me how many bad decisions Cecil continues to make. Like, he could have easily prevented this by putting the sound device in Conquest's head like he did to Mark in season 3, but no. He just lets him live and tries to bury him under a pile of metal, which is, you know, great plan, Cecil. That definitely would have worked. And if you think that's it, it's not, because Conquest goes straight back to Viltrum and tells Thrag everything. So if Thrag shows up and wipes everybody out, we can all agree that it was all Cecil's fault. Then we actually get to see something really interesting, and it's a flashback to Viltrum before everyone got killed off, and Nolan is actually very young here, and he looks a little bit too much like Mark for my liking, but he also doesn't look like Mark at the same time. It's very weird. And this is when we find out how and why there are so few Viltrumites left. And it all traces back to someone we all know very well. Thaddeus, aka Optimus Prime. And he is actually the first Viltrumite to turn on his race. And it turns out this is actually the Great Betrayer. And he didn't just betray Viltrumite in his own race. He killed their great Emperor Argyle. And then as a cherry on top, he took it upon himself to create a virus called
the Scourge virus.
Using using his own DNA, and this virus targets the immune system of all Viltrumites, and he wiped out billions with this virus. Like, the guy that we've been watching operate as basically a good guy the whole time turns out to have killed all the Viltrumites, which is just crazy, and I can't even hate him for it because the Viltrumites killed billions before he wiped them out. And after that lore dump, we cut back to Nolan and Alan on Telescria, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm right with Alan on both counts. One, how did Nolan almost make us even feel slightly bad for the Viltrumites getting wiped out? And two, I genuinely liked them more before I found out Nolan's actual mission was to bang his way across the galaxy. But then we see them on a quest to find the weapons from Nolan's book, and this was honestly my favorite part of the season so far. Like, the way they build Nolan and Alan's dynamic in this episode was just phenomenal. Like, we get two guys confiding in each other while still keeping each other at arm's length at the same time. And something I kept noticing through the first half of the season is that Nolan's moral code has evolved massively, and his actions clearly show he's working against the Viltrumites, but he still won't verbally commit to the resistance, and that gap between what he does and what he's willing to admit is one of the most compelling things I've seen in this season so far. Oh, and really quick, the Thraxans come back trying to conquer Earth again, and this time they actually learned from their old mistakes and put the anti-aging device on their side of the portal, so the Guardians had to go and cross through to destroy it, which Monster Girl and Robot do, but in doing so they get stuck on the other side. And my biggest problem with this is that time moves way faster over there than it does on Earth, so I don't know how they're gonna get back or if they'll be older when they get back, but I'm very interested to see how they play that off. And after everything we just saw, part 1 ends with the return of Omni-Man and Alan to Earth saying,
"I'm sorry, Mark. There's no other way. We need you. The time for war is upon us."
And when you think about everything that just happened in these first 4 episodes, Cecil letting Conquest walk straight back to Thrag, Rudy and Monster Girl getting stuck on the other side, Eve is pregnant, the Scourge virus reveal, like, the second half of the season is going to be absolutely insane, and we will be back for part 2 the moment the finale comes out. And drop a comment below and tell me what your favorite moment of this season has been so far. And if you're new here, stick around, we talk about stuff like this all the time. And as always, stay curious and keep the conversation going.